energy need to be on the community. Like it's been going on, like the little thing, the Hope Health deal. You seen that?
Yo, what's up? What's up? It's my man Eric Cheeks.
What up? What up? What
And
up?
this professional platform.
Set up blood pressure screenings at Thompson Barber Shop and College in downtown Florence.
Hey guys, welcome to Breaks for the Barbers 2024. This is a great edition. We also have here today from the Democracy Center, Anthony Hall, the organizer. And boy, are we really excited to have him. We've been kind of waiting for this to come. There's been so many events going on for Black History Month, so we got to apologize for the delay, but it's been amazing things going on. So again, we're here, guys, with Mr. Hall to talk about why is the Black vote so important, and mainly for our youth to become really proactive. So thank you, Mr. Hall. Thank you for coming in, man.
Hey, thank you
man, I'm excited. You know, we've been waiting for you. Again, you have, have shown that excited, and I've seen it naturally. You want to let the people know what's going on. I wish I could have got to you early on, but we'll definitely make sure we keep you. We have to even bring you back for another segment for the voting, because this is real serious. It's going to get real interesting, guys. So, Mr. Hall, what would you like for our people to firsthand know more about you and the Democracy Center?
Well, like I say, my name's Anthony Hall. I'm the program organizer for the Democracy Center. I'm originally from Atlanta. Been here about 17 years, and I think I always tell people when I came up 20 in 95, I've been active and organizing in the community ever since I got here. I started off in the Red Cross. I went to a disaster service nonprofit. I was the president of the Darling branch of the NAACP, and now it's the voting agent. Red Cross has a saying. The saying says their mission statement is to alleviate the suffering of others. So I used to say, well, my people suffering too. So that's how I got off into the NAACP. Now, it's the voting, and I get it. I've been one of those people, I think about the times I was in the military, people who controlled my life or who decide whether or not I go to war or not. I wasn't even taking a say-so in who it was, I wasn't even exercising my voice to say, this guy wants to go to war, this guy doesn't, So it's important. So when I look at it, when you look at voting, what I want people to know is they try to treat voting like it's a popularity contest or like it's a party. I don't preach parties. I'm not here to tell people who to vote for. I'm not here to tell people what party to vote for. What I'm here to tell people is to have something that's important to them, right? You got to know what you want, and then you got to know what policies will get you there, right? So if you eliminate the personalities and you eliminate the policies, you got to say it's simple. You want $15 an hour, you want $7 an hour, right? If I want $7 an hour, I go with this guy. If I want 15, I go with this one. You want Medicaid for all, you think you should have health care for everybody? Go with that. Go with that. You want a fair justice system. You got to know what the policies are. So I always teach policies, not personalities, not parties. It's always platforms and policies. And the other thing is that once you know what it is that you're that you want, what's good for your community, once you know those things, nobody can play you. You can't get played. Nobody can take you for granted. A lot of times our young folks think, well, we just vote Democrat. I heard people say, President Biden, he's just being anointed. No, he's not being anointed. It's the policies is why nobody is really and truly challenges him, because that's the policy I want. What he's talking about is what I want, right? So same way with President Obama. When President Obama ran for office, the 2 years, the 2 terms, right? He didn't have challenges. Nobody challenged him each time he ran for re-election. He ran unopposed as a Democrat, right? Because it's the policy. We got the guy in who's setting the policies or the policy that they want, right? So there's no reason to have a challenge for it. The other thing is that what you found out in the Obama years was that we didn't understand, seemed like we didn't understand the game. Part of it was we were just voting, a lot of people just voted for a black guy, right? But you vote for him 1 year, 2 years later, you don't support him, right? And after that, I said, well, I never expected President Obama to be able to repeat as president, because 2 years after he got elected, he lost the House and the Senate, right? But he ran again, bam, you showed up again, got him reelected. 2 years later, you didn't, we didn't, right? So at some point, we got to figure out it's not the personalities, it's gotta be policies. A lot of times you hear young folks say stuff like reparations. So tell me, do you think that America owes black people something for slavery? I mean, how do you feel about reparations? A lot of people feel like, hey, you know, this country has been built on the on slavery, right? It got enriched by slavery. So a lot of people feel like you should, we owe something, you know? So we're owed reparations. But how are you gonna get reparations unless you vote? You see? You gotta vote for the people that will support what you're for. And as long as we can look at voting with that mindset, through that lens, then we're always in control. As long as we stay together, we talking out the same voice of what we want, the same policies that we want. We want our children to be safe. We want our children to have the same education. We want the same amount of pay for the same amount of work. We want a fair playing field, right? The only way to get that is to vote. There's no other way for us to get. And voting is the only thing that I don't care. Bill Gates, he get one vote, I get one vote. Jeff Bezos, he get one vote, I get one vote. Elon Musk, he get one vote, I get one vote, right? That's the only thing that levels the playing field. And the other thing is that black people still, in this country, we still control who goes where. If we turn out at, say, 70%, whenever we turn out, we vote in a high number, whoever we're supporting wins. You think about Florence. Florence has a first African-American female, first African-American mayor, right? If you go into that office over there, you'll see just white men, white men, white men, white men, white men. 55% women, 45% African-American. But when they took those numbers, when the women turned out and the blacks turned out, that's how history got made. The last election we had a 4% turnout, right? 4%, right? Out of 3 million and something, right? In 2020, 500 and something thousand, over 500,000 registered black voters didn't cast a ballot. 2018, 33,000 in the PD, you know, in this area, didn't cast the ballot, you know. So if there are areas where we should be doing better, we should be controlling our own destiny, you know. But the thing about it is that you gotta know what you want. You know, you gotta know. It's gotta be something. You cannot be happy with everything that's going on. You can't be happy with your wages. I'll give you another thing. People talk about age, you know. Still, it's policy. Do y'all realize that right now, it's called the You got the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act. You got the CHIPS Act. What was it? Inflation Reduction Act. The Bipartisan Infrastructure Act. The CHIPS and Science Act. And then you have President Biden's Executive Order 14008, also known as Justice 40. We talk about trillions of dollars. Trillions. And the 14008 says that 40% of all federal investment must go into needed communities. And these are environmental justice communities, right? These are, so all this money. But do you know what happens in November if the policy that puts this money on the table, if the policy that puts this money on the table is not reelected? That money gone. That money's gone. They are not going because they don't give. They don't do that. They don't fund the communities. We have. Do you know that South Carolina, when all of the United States, what they call infant mortality rate, first year or two, the kids live and die, right? Do you know that in the United States that the infant mortality rate was declining everywhere except South Carolina? Instead of it going down in South Carolina, it went from 6.5 to 12.3. So it's rising. And whenever you see these numbers, do you know that blacks have 3 times as much die from asthma 3 times at the rate of whites? Do you know that blacks pay 43% a higher energy burden than white non-Hispanics? You want to know why? It's the policies. And if you look at South Carolina, like I said, I don't have to talk parties. I know what I want. And I don't have to endorse a party, but I know that I want the same, I want better for my kids. And so I'm going to vote for who's going to give me that, right? So if you look at the policies and then you look at the way we vote, it doesn't have to be that way. Because a lot of times what happens with us is we lose in races that we ought to be winning. You look at Darlington, Darlington's 65% African American with a 65% white council. Or more than 50%. So we losing areas that we shouldn't be losing. The seventh, I mean, it's just crazy. And the reason is that it's turnout. And the thing about it is that the consistent voter is an older white guy. He turns out about 75%, okay? That means I don't care what it is, every election he shows up. We vote at a consistent rate of 26%. See, when you 13% of the population of a country, you cannot afford to show up at 26%. When we that low percentage-wise, we got to show up in force all the time, right?
With you saying all that, I have to ask you this. Why is it that so many black people are saying that they're going to vote for Trump? Why do you think that is?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't vote for Trump for dog catcher, okay? Why they would say they going to vote for Trump? To be honest, I want to survey them, because if you ask a person who says he'll vote for Trump, then ask him why, he'll never tell you a policy question.
It's all about the money. They think they're going to get some more stipends. They think Trump's going to give them some money.
But see, once again, that's the ignorance. And like I say, being ignorant it just means that they don't understand. Because presidents do not give money. They get to put their name on the check, right? Congress appropriates money. So if you got a check, I don't care who names on it. It's who controlled the Congress was the one, and trust me, Democrats was the one that put the bills in, Inflation Reduction and all that. That's how you getting that money, right? Trump name might be on the check, but Trump wouldn't give you, Trump wouldn't give you 2 cents, right? This is a guy, I can't see it. This is a guy who even in my lifetime, when Ronald Reagan used to be what I consider one that, as at the time, Ronald Reagan was the guy who I say that when the government started really showing their racist hand, right? And I always consider Ronald Reagan one of the most racist administrations in my lifetime. The Reagan administration sued the Trump family for housing discrimination because they wouldn't even rent houses to black folks, right? This is the guy who, when the Central Park Five, you remember that case, the five, that took out the newspaper ad and said that they should be put to death, these kids. And then once he finds out that they didn't do it, don't even have the decency of the humanity to come back and say, hey, I was wrong, whatever. Donald Trump doesn't care about anybody. He was there for 4 years, right? He didn't do anything for anybody. Only thing Donald Trump is there for is to try to make some money for himself, right? If somebody trickles and happens to get some, hey, so be it. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump ain't who he say he is, ain't as rich as he said he is. But now he feels like, he's like the fox in the hen house. But as far as Donald Trump gonna give you some money, man, anybody who says that is just don't understand how money comes from the government. But Congress writes the check. Congress is the ones who appropriates the funds.
And what would you like? What would you like the people to know in ending? What would you? The most important thing, getting close again to the need of being proactive in voting. What would be your final words to leave our audience today?
If you get hoodwinked and caught up on the personality and all that, you're gonna miss the big picture because it's like a shell game. But at the end of the day, there are trillions of dollars on the line. And policy. If I named 4 laws out there. If those laws, if the wrong person gets to the White House, if we lose that seat, that money gone. And the other thing is, don't worry about November. The fight starts in June. Okay, the fight starts in June. And the other thing is that most things that affect us locally, they happening in Columbia. Do you realize that they're not gonna feed have a feeding program for kids this summer? But they always talk about how they got a surplus and how they got a budget and they got a rainy day fund. But they got one because they ain't doing that for nobody. But why they ain't doing that for nobody? Because y'all keep sitting back at home and letting the wrong people sit down there in them seats of power. So get involved, get in the game, and the thing about it is that get involved, run for office. Hey, look, you're never gonna get rid of the electoral college. You're never gonna get these old cats out of there if you don't get in there and vote and get people in there who believe that in term limit, who believe you ought to go to Congress for only 20 years, who believe that you ought not to be president after 65. You're never going to do that sitting at home talking about I ain't going to go. Right. You got to go.
Guys, Mr. Hall gave it to y'all today. He dropped that sauce on y'all where y'all should know exactly where we at, what's going on. And we might have to bring you back, Mr. Hall, because everything was just so interesting and we can go on and on. Everybody know I already can talk because I love to talk, and I let you talk tonight because you had so much to say. And it's good to see people, have a lot to say, more than myself. But yeah, man, I really appreciate it. Brother. Man, thank you, man. I'll see you again. We got some more stuff coming up. Breakfast with the Barbers. Thank you for the interview. And guys, it's important to vote. Get out here. Let's be proactive. Contact me. Contact Mr. Hall. If you need us, our numbers will come up. Our information will be out there. So let us know what we could do for you. And again, love.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.